And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
I have to be honest here. I really expect more out of a space game than I do out of a trading in the Mediterranean area or Italian Renaissance game. And that's simply because I love a space theme so much more. I was really pumped when I heard about Galaxy's Edge from Assa Games because the last game they made was Conquest of the Fallen Lands, and it was an interesting mix of theme and area control gameplay. Well, Galaxy's Edge definitely has that area-controlled gameplay, and it's in space, but it just doesn't have the theme for me. It's not that the game itself is bad, it's that the way the game works just doesn't feel like a space-conquering type game, which I think it's supposed to. And the pieces are good and functional, but a little bit extra artwork, and maybe just a little bit more would have really catapulted this to being one of my favorite games from this year. As it is, I think it's an okay game, but the theme actually drives it down for me because I thought it would be more exciting than it really is. It's a what we call Euro-style game in the sense that it's all about the mechanics and trying to control different areas. It has a very mathematical feel to me. Okay, well here is the board. The board is made up of a random arrangement of hexes, and it's not in a hexagonal format, which drives me nuts trying to put it together. But as you look at the different hexes, each hex has a different color background, which shows that it is the home of a different race, and then it has 1 to 4 different planets in, and each of these planets has a different number. As you can see in the hex we're looking at here, you can see a 1, 3, 4, and 9. That is the value of those hexes. And you're going to be trying to control as many hexes as possible. Now, as the game takes place, players will be starting with these spaceships. This is their mothership, I suppose, and they will take turns placing them at various places around the board. A game turn is really simple. All you have to do to play this game is move your ship and build, or build, then move your ship. When you build, you have 2 different choices. You can put a colony on one of the planets that your ship is at that point in time, or you can place a base there, and you have 3 choices of a base. You can put a level 1 base, a level 2 base, or a level 3 base. Now, when building colonies, you don't even need to have your ship there. For example, your ship could be way over here. If you have at least one other thing in that system, you can build another colony in that system. Although you can't build a base, you have to have your ship there to build the base. At the end of your turn, you roll a die. This die will give you one of 3 different options. If it shows the option that says your ban, then you'll take your ban, a big octagonal wooden shape, and place it in an area you've just built. Nobody can build in an area where a ban is until it's moved out. The other die face will show next player's ban, and so you'll take their ban, let's say yellow was the next player, and you would put it in the spot that you just built rather than your own. Between the 2 of these, it means the bans will be moving around the board a lot, but it does restrict players on where they can build. The third option shows a card, and that allows a player to draw an event card or to play one. That's the only time you can draw or play an event card. Now, let's just take a quick look at these event cards briefly. They're really not that powerful. They're very useful, don't get me wrong, but they're not game-breaking. You're not going to find yourself winning because someone else had better cards than you. However, they are really useful cards, and I think the idea of only playing these cards when the die is rolled is a good one, except for the fact that it doesn't always even out. Some people will roll the card more often than other players, which kind of gives them an advantage, because moving your band gives you nothing, but getting a card and being able to play a card does. And this is just more of a niggly problem I have with the game, but I really wish it worked out a little better. There have been games where I got very few cards, and I wasn't as happy in those games. But the artwork on the cards is really neat. The way the cards are played is very simple, very clearly explained. Now, a couple things about the game. The first one is this. Let's move down here for a moment and look at these cards here. These cards correspond to each of the races. Now, you are not one of these races, but you can get the benefits from these races if you have more colonies in any of their hexes than anyone else does. So as soon as you put one down, you get that group, but if someone puts one down and more than you, they get it from you. However, this is another small niggly problem I have. It's very easy to hang on to these the whole game. If you put your pieces in 3 of one of these races, it's very difficult for someone to get more than you, because many of the hexes, for example, this hex right here only has 1 planet in it, so no one else will be able to join there with you. Be that as it may, again, I really like the artwork on these. As you can see, here's the humanoids, and over here is the Sapulenti, and there's the War Gears, and then over here we have the Hive and the Crystalloids. Each one of these gives a bonus at the end of the game for whatever kind of race it is. For example, the Sapulenti gives you 15 bonus points if you have the fewest military bases, while their opponents, the War Gears, or the Wargers, whatever, get 15 points if they have the most military bases. Humanoids get points if they're with other people on the same planets or the same system. Hive gets it if they control planets of their own. And the Crystalloids get bonus points for those 1 colonies. Instead of being 1, those colonies are worth 6. Alright, now, this is a tricky part of the game, and I want to explain it kind of here, because this is the part I have the most difficulty explaining to people playing the game. These bases, what is the point of them? At the end of the game, they're not going to score any points for you. They're only used during the course of a game. So let me put some bases on the board here, and we'll put a yellow piece there, and a blue double base here, and a blue triple base here. Okay, whenever a system is finished, so let's say green decides to put a piece here. This system is now finished. At that point, we check all the bases that are in the vicinity of this hexagon. That includes any bases in the hexagon or those around it. Now, level 1 bases are the strongest. If only one player has a level 1 base next to, in its vicinity, they automatically win. Yellow has 2 level 1 bases, but red also has a level 1 base, so since more than one player has a level 1 base, nothing happens and we go to level 2. There are 2 players that have level 2 bases. Again, we need to have it so only one player has it. Only one player has a level 3 base, and that's blue. So blue can pick one of these 2 colors. In this instance, he'll probably take the yellow one, remove it, and place a colony there of his own color. Now that's a very neat mathematical way to work this out, because the level 3 bases are the weakest base, because the level 1 base is looked at first, but if everyone else is building level 1 bases, you have a good chance of winning with a level 2, then everyone else builds level 2, and then you have a good chance of winning with a level 3. People build level 3s, and, back and forth. However, it doesn't really make sense thematically, because we're saying here that if yellow has 4 single bases here, and blue has 1, but they have a level 3, blue wins. But if they didn't have this one, then yellow would win. And if they didn't have the 3, neither one of them would win. It really doesn't make sense thematically, but it does make sense mathematically. This also brings us to another thing about the game is, since this would happen, green would never even place his piece there. So every time you build, you have to sit there and look and calculate all the bases out that are in all the vicinities of all the things, and make sure that you will keep the colony as you put it down, and then you're thinking about what your opponent will do on his turn. I don't have much time left, so let me leave you with this. I've shown the game, and I've shown several of my problems with the game, and it's not a bad game. It plays very quickly in an hour. It just seems long because the decisions, while they're like that, they take a lot longer to make. Oh, what should I do now? The artwork is great, so why not have put artwork on these triangles and circles? I mean, Josh Capel's one of the best in the business, and I think more of his artwork would have helped the theme. So, it's good, it's just completely devoid of theme, so I don't want to play it that often. Your views may vary. Theme may not matter to you, so you may enjoy this game, but if you're coming into this looking for a great space adventure, it's not here.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.